Hey, what's going on, guys? Rome Gaming here. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention some of my socials in the description of the video. If you want to support the channel, please check those out. If you want to support the channel in other ways, please consider just dropping a like or a nice comment somewhere on the video. It really helps the algorithm push our content out there to a broader audience. With that being said, hope you guys enjoy the episode. Hey, what's going on, guys? Rome Gaming here, back into the video. Today's episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about Holy Paladin, just kind of my thoughts on the spec, how it's feeling going into War Within, and hopefully I can help you make a decision on if this is a spec that you want to play or not going into War Within. With that being said, this is going to be focused on Mythic Plus. This is not a PvP or a raid guide in any way, so I do apologize if you were looking for that. Again, I only played Mythic Plus, so that's just what we're going to focus on in this video. So let's talk about some of the changes really quick. So one of the things that we've been begging for on Holy Paladin is basically a way to make our spenders stronger. Our Word of Glory doesn't feel like a strong punch of single target healing. Our Light of Dawn hasn't felt like a big burst of AoE healing, and we've really wanted it to feel beneficial to press these spells. You know, after all, our gameplay does revolve around this holy power system, so when we press the button, we want to see health bars move. So Blizzard has heard us, and our holy powers are significantly stronger, especially once you go into the Herald of the Sun tree and take something like Eternal Flame. This is not only going to be a stronger Word of Glory, but this is also going to put a heal over time effect on you. So we have more punch, more power into a lot of our single target healing, and we've also seen just pretty much a major redesign on our holy tree and both our paladin tree. Tons of talents have been changed, moved around, buffed, nerfed, you name it, and the tree has changed. Holy Paladin is, to be honest, changing every single week in the beta. A new build, today's the 12th, just came out, and they just removed Holy Infusion for some reason. So no clue what's going on there. If you're not familiar with what Holy Infusion is, your Crusader Strike would grant us 2 charges of Holy Power. They decided to wipe that out. No clue why. And a lot of people are pretty upset about it, especially being this close to release. So we'll just kind of have to see how that pans out. But we've also seen some other very significant changes with our talents. For example, Glimmer of Light, if you're familiar with that, was a heal over time effect that would be put on the target and just kind of did some passive healing. That's been removed completely. Daybreak has also been removed. So Daybreak was a great way to basically trigger your Glimmer of Light, get some additional healing out of it. And then this would also restore a ton of mana. So what we could do is pair this with a Divine Toll, put out a bunch of Glimmer of Lights, consume them with Daybreak like a combo, and do a ton of healing and get a ton of mana back. That is removed completely. That was a very core part of our kit. Another thing that's been really nice is they have reduced the cast time on our Holy Light. So it's like a 1.8 second cast, at least for me right now, with like various talents. And Flash of Light is just a 1.4 second cast time. So we can actually cast a bunch of Holy Lights, especially if you're running something like Inflorescence of the Sunwell. You can get a ton of healing out with that 50% additional increase with the Sunwell buff. And you can really top targets very quickly with your Holy Light now. It's just very expensive to do. So, you know, low healing, you'll be using Flash of Light, and high healing, you'll probably be using Holy Light. So I'm not going to go too much more into talents because literally they change every single week. So I'm just going to leave this as is for now. Let's go ahead and dive into the hero talents. So we have 2 different play styles. We have Herald of the Sun versus Lightsmith. It seems like with Lightsmith, basically what you have is this Holy Armaments charge, and it's very similar to like the Oracle Tree with Priest. So with the Oracle Tree with Priest, you're kind of putting out these different buffs on like a charge-based system. Very similar here with Holy Armament, also on a 1-minute recharge time. And you can put a Bulwark or a Sacred Weapon on a specific target. The Bulwark is an Absorb Shield, and the Sacred Weapon is a chance for them to basically do more damage. So almost like a mini power infusion. So Blizzard kind of leaning into that support style gameplay a little bit here. And then at the bottom of Lightsmith, you also have Blessing of the Forge. So when you're Avenging Wrath, you'll get an additional Sacred Weapon. And that Sacred Weapon will echo the effects of your Holy Power abilities. So basically the whole tree here is just kind of buffing this Holy Armaments, whether that's like reducing the cooldown of it or just increasing the effectiveness of it. Then we also have the Herald of the Sun tree. So look at the top node, Dawnlight. So whether you pick Holy Prism or Barrier of Faith, it's going to cause your next 2 Holy Power spending abilities to apply this Dawn Light to your target, dealing X amount of damage and X amount of healing over 8 seconds. Then 8% of that damage and healing will radiate out to both allies or enemies. Then at the bottom here, we have Sun's Avatar. So once again, tying into our Avenging Wrath, you become linked to Dawn Light, causing X amount of radiant damage to enemies or healing to allies that pass through the beams. This is reduced beyond 5 targets. So basically these ray of lights are going to come out and you're going to be linked up to your allies, and you can use those ray of lights to heal other allies or damage enemies. Now with this tree, you also get the Eternal Flame that we talked about earlier that will replace our Word of Glory. Really fun to play around. I like Eternal Flame a lot. Then you have various other spells throughout the tree, just kind of buffing the Dawn Light even further and your Holy Shot. So not sure exactly which tree is going to be stronger of the two. With the Lightsmith, they do have a lot of different talents here that will kind of reduce the CDR of this Holy Artemet's ability. So it says a 1-minute recharge. I think it's going to be much lower than that once you factor in all the different talents that reduce it. You can see here we have Forewarning. That's going to reduce the cooldown by 20% on top of Valiance here. And then once again with Solidarity, very similar to like Power Infusion. When you put an ornament on somebody else, you get those effects as well. All right, now let's quickly talk about Button Bloat, which has been a big problem for Holy Paladin all the way through Dragonflight, and this is something that Blizzard has tried to address. So we do have some changes here. So Light of the Martyr it's been completely redesigned. It's no longer an active spell. Instead, it's more passive now, and when you are above that 80% health threshold, you will get an Absorb Shield that is put on you, and this Absorb Shield has to be directly healed. You can't passively heal it up with your Beacon of Light. Now, when I say directly healed, heal over time effects will get rid of the Absorb Shield, but specifically your Beacon of Light will not heal that target until the Absorb Shield is gone. Now, another thing to note about this talent is this will only affect you. The Absorb Shield will not affect another target. It will only affect you. And due to how our Mastery Lightbringer works, we're not going to be putting a Beacon of Light on ourselves. We're always going to be putting our Beacon of Light on somebody else, right? Because we get max value from our Mastery, healing ourselves, healing other people. We don't get as much of that Mastery value based on our proximity to the target. So really, this Absorb Shield is never going to come into effect unless you are running something like Beacon of Virtue, which will put the beacon on yourself. But if you are running Beacon of Virtue, you can just spam heal yourself and radiate that healing out to other targets, again negating the effects of the Absorb Shield. So a very poorly worded talent, but just so everybody's kind of on the same page with how that works. So in terms of dungeon performance, Holy Paladin has been performing very well. They're a very strong healer. I do still think that our damage could be beefed up a little bit. And then also the changes to Holy Infusion, where we're not getting that extra charge or that extra Holy Power charge through our Crusader Strike that's going to sting a little. That's going to hurt our throughput quite a bit. So it's yet to be seen how that affects our HPS. But I do see Holy Paladin being in a completely fine spot going into War Within. It's easier to play. It's more straightforward. You don't have to go and rotate through 10 different cooldowns to be able to play the spec. Very straightforward. You do your damage. You heal with Holy Shock. Holy Shock's been beefed immensely. And then you also do a lot of main healing through your Word of Glory. So much more straightforward than it has been in the past. And so far, I'm personally liking this iteration of Holy Paladin. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up the video here. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Also, please consider checking out my socials in the description of the video. We do have a new Patreon and a new Discord. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you on the next one.